Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we plunge headfirst into, well, the fascinating currents of human nature, the choices we make, and the profound ripple effects they have.
Exactly, how those choices spread through our lives and, impact everyone around us.
Today, we're taking a peek behind those perfectly manicured hedges of a seemingly idyllic world, a place where secrets are always sort of simmering just beneath the surface.
Hmm.
Our source material for this deep dive is the fantastic, brilliantly crafted series Desperate Housewives. And it frames things perfectly with that classic line, you know the one, previously on Desperate Housewives.
Right, instantly grabs your attention.
Totally. So get ready as we explore this world of intertwined lives, dramatic turns, and some pretty surprising insights into the human condition.
Yeah, and what's really captivating about these stories in Desperate Housewives is how they give us this rich tapestry of individual lives, right? Each one is like a thread woven into the bigger community fabric.
Mm.
And from our analysis, these stories really show complex motivations and the surprising, often, unforeseen consequences of choices, big ones and small ones.
Yeah, definitely.
So our mission today is to really unpack how these characters navigate some incredibly challenging situations. We want to explore not just what they do, but the underlying why behind their actions, and reveal those often hidden aha moments that make these stories so compelling. And maybe along the way, we can even point out some useful vocabulary or cultural insights that bring their world to life for you.
Absolutely. It's really about peeling back the layers, isn't it?
Hmm.
We're going to cover, well, everything from the very personal pursuit of purpose
Hmm.
to the chilling unearthing of dark, buried secrets
Hmm.
and the powerful, sometimes really destructive lengths people will go to for love or control or maybe just a moment of peace. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Let's begin with Gabrielle Solis. Now, Gabby, at first glance, she seems to have it all right. Money, beauty, devoted husband Carlos, a life many would absolutely
It's
envy.
a dream life, supposedly.
Exactly. Yet our deep dive shows she finds this seemingly perfect existence surprisingly unfulfilling. There's this really poignant moment where she confides, "It hasn't turned out like I thought it would."
All right.
And she admits there's something missing, even though she has so much. It's a feeling I think many of us can relate to, that sense of a void even when things look perfect on the outside, that search for something more.
And what's really fascinating here is understanding Gabrielle's journey before this point. Her ambition, as the sources show early on, was driven by something very different. Necessity, really, and a fierce desire to escape.
Escape, yeah.
Her first great idea, as the story calls it, was at just 15, buying a bus ticket to New York, literally running away from a difficult, abusive past after a late-night visit from her stepfather.
Wow, 15.
Yeah. Then 5 years later, her next great idea was using her looks to seduce a famous fashion photographer, launching her modeling career. Very strategic.
Right, using what she had.
And then marrying Carlos Solis. It wasn't about love. The narrative is explicit. It was about his wealth. A clear move for financial security, social standing. These were all profoundly self-serving, survival-driven choices,
Yeah.
designed to build a wall between her and her past.
A fortress of wealth and beauty.
Exactly. Which makes the sudden shift we see, well, it's quite stark.
So she's meticulously built this whole life on self-preservation, material gain, maybe consciously, maybe not, but it didn't bring that inner fulfillment she thought it would.
Yeah.
She's ended up in that golden cage, right?
Yeah,
Looks beautiful outside, but feels hollow inside.
precisely. And that sets the stage for her big aha moment, a real turning point.
Yeah.
The narrative puts her in a hospital visiting her mother-in-law, feeling that deep emptiness we were just talking about. And it's there she sees a doctor in action, doing an emergency intubation, literally saving a life. And the doctor, clearly tired but like serene, says when she goes home, she sleeps like a baby because she knows she did something that day that helped people. That simple comment just sparks something in Gabrielle. The impact is immediate. She realizes her next great idea isn't about herself. It's throwing the first annual Sacred Heart charity fashion show, raising money for more nurses. It's a huge shift from taking to giving.
And the narrative specifically notes that after making this decision, Gabrielle slept like a baby that night. That's such a powerful image, isn't it?
It really is.
It implies this genuine sense of purpose, this deep inner peace that, the money and the glamour never gave her. And that phrase, to sleep like a baby, just perfectly captures that, doesn't it? That really deep, peaceful sleep you get when you feel content. It's a common English idiom, just means sleeping soundly, no worries.
Like a content infant, yeah.
But this raises a big question. Is this just a fleeting phase for Gabby, a temporary high? Or is it genuine, lasting transformation?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? On one hand, you see her immediately engaged, really passionate about this cause, which is a massive departure from her usual, let's be honest, self-absorbed tendencies.
Yeah, it really is.
So it strongly suggests potential for real transformation, a realization that maybe the external stuff, the validation, the possessions, they don't actually lead to inner peace. It highlights that universal human need for meaning beyond just stuff.
Right. The golden cage paradox.
Yeah.
Looks great, feels empty.
Exactly. That feeling that only genuine contribution or connection can fill, often when we look outwards. But we also know Gabrielle's history. She's impulsive, she seeks novelty, she likes shortcuts.
Oh.
So while this pursuit of purpose feels profound now, her basic character, that impulsivity, that occasional self-centeredness, it's still there, which could definitely set the stage for unforeseen challenges.
And speaking of unforeseen challenges, even something benevolent like a charity fashion show can quickly become a stage for, well, human vanity and conflict.
Oh, absolutely.
The narrative says news of the show spread fast on Wisteria Lane, but Gabrielle soon found out that when it came to the latest fashions, women are seldom charitable.
Huh. That's an astute observation. It highlights how even good intentions can just clash with personal insecurities, rivalries. It almost feels like a commentary on consumer culture, doesn't it? Where individual desires can kind of overshadow the collective good.
Fully.
And we see it right away with Betty, one of the participants. She refuses to walk the runway because she feels fat in the dresses. And Gabrielle, in her new purpose-driven mode, wanting this event to succeed, insists, "You're not quitting on me now. I need you to be brave now."
Mm-hmm.
It perfectly shows the tension. Noble goal over here, raising money for nurses, personal anxieties over there, appearance, ego. It's a reminder that even for a good cause, human ego and insecurity can really complicate things. And brave here isn't just about walking a runway, it's facing personal fears publicly, which is, a common cultural thing, even at a local event.
Right, putting yourself out there. So from purpose to peril, let's pivot to Gabrielle's ongoing affair with her teenage gardener, John Rowland.
Ah, yes, the other great idea.
The narrative frames this as her most recent great idea, born out of that deep boredom she felt in suburbia. An idea cut short by a tragic accident that happened earlier, off-screen for this part. It paints this vivid picture of her just constantly seeking external stimulation to fill that inner void, looking for an escape from her own ennui.
And what's particularly telling is the stark contrast in how Gabrielle and John see this relationship. The source shows John breaking up with Danielle Vandekamp, genuinely believing his thing with Gabrielle is deep, that they have a future.
Oh, bless him.
He actually tells Danielle, "She's the one I want, I really love her."
Yeah.
It shows his emotional immaturity, for sure, but also a real, if naive, belief in its significance for him.
Well, Gabrielle
completely dismisses it, calls it just sex, it's totally harmless, which is, such a classic line from someone trying to rationalize their actions.
just sex. It's totally harmless. We hear that phrase all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
But is it ever really harmless when you've got that kind of power dynamic, the age gap, the difference in emotional maturity?
Right.
And Gabrielle rationalizes it more by saying, Carlos adores having me, not adoring her, which maybe there's a kernel of truth there about her own feelings or lack thereof, but it doesn't excuse the deception or dismissing John's feelings like that.
Not at all.
And then there's that really poignant moment where Helen Rowland, John's mom, thanks Gabrielle for hiring him, completely unaware of what's really going on.
Yeah.
That just twists the knife, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. That idiom, to twist the knife, just perfectly captures adding to someone's pain, often unknowingly. It adds this thick layer of dramatic irony. And here's where it gets really interesting. The moment the affair comes crashing out into the open.
Yes, the moment everything changes. Susan Mayer, who always has that strong moral compass, catches Gabrielle and John in, well, a compromising position.
Mm-hmm.
Gabrielle's flimsy stocking adjustment excuse. Susan sees right through it. Her reaction is immediate, strong, no punches pulled. He's in high school and it's illegal and you're married. If Carlos found out, this would kill him.
And this raises an interesting point. Why does Susan feel this so personally, more than just general moral outrage?
Yeah, good question.
The narrative explains it directly. Susan draws on her own painful past with Carl, her ex-husband, who screwed over somebody he loved, leaving her, as she puts it, a basket case.
Right, basket case. That's such a common informal idiom for someone who's just falling apart, mentally or emotionally distraught.
Exactly. She remembers tearing up his clothes, not being able to get out of bed. She argues me and every other person who was screwed over by somebody they loved. So Susan's reaction isn't just abstract morals, it's her own trauma, the pain of betrayal being projected onto this.
And Gabrielle's response.
Complete dismissal. Cuts her off. This isn't about you. This clash is central, right? Gabrielle sees it as personal, harmless. Susan sees it as this universal betrayal with potentially devastating effects. That ripple effect again.
And the ripple effect is immediate and severe. It publicly shatters Gabrielle's whole carefully built facade.
The consequences are swift and brutal. Helen Rowland, John's mother, doesn't ask for a quiet chat. No. She confronts Gabrielle at the charity fashion show. Publicly.
In front of everyone.
Unleashes her fury, accuses her point blank. I'm the one who was sleeping with your son almost a year? He was 16? The public setting just magnifies the humiliation.
Oh, absolutely.
And Helen's response when Gabrielle pleads that it's over, it's chilling. No, you're wrong. It's not even close to being over. It's not just revenge talk. It feels like an inevitable truth about the lasting impact of this kind of betrayal. It's not neat. It's opening Pandora's box.
Right. That idiom, opening Pandora's box, unleashing a whole load of unforeseen troubles. Perfect description here.
Absolutely.
And just as Gabrielle's world is falling apart from this public shaming, just as she's reeling and trying to come clean to Carlos, though the narrative dryly notes coming clean was not one of Gabrielle's specialties, meaning, telling the truth didn't come easy.
Understatement.
We get the dramatic, sudden climax of her story on this part.
Yes, the timing is almost, well, poetically cruel. Just as she's processing Helen's outburst, the FBI arrives. Warrant for Carlos's arrest.
Out of nowhere. Well, seemingly.
He claims innocence, shouts he was set up by someone named Tanaka, suggesting maybe a whole separate corporate conspiracy thing going on.
So what does this all mean? How do Gabrielle's great ideas, the self-preservation, the material gain, then the impulsive affair born of boredom, how do they all add up to create this incredibly volatile life?
It's a powerful illustration of a chain reaction, isn't it? One decision, maybe seeming small or contained at the time, triggers this cascade of unintended severe consequences.
And the irony is just painful. Gabrielle's words to Carlos right before the arrest. Whatever happens, I love you very, very much. It highlights this profound shift that's just happened, maybe directly caused by her choices.
A brutal collision of consequences.
Okay, let's shift gears. Let's talk about Lynette Scavo. Her struggle really resonates with so many parents, especially mothers. That feeling of failure, the overwhelming demands, it's a universal theme. It's close to home for a lot of people juggling family, work, life.
What's really compelling is the raw honesty. Lynette admits her last version of normal had me popping pills. That's not just stress, that's serious burnout, a desperate confession.
Yeah.
She recognizes if I don't get some help, there's an excellent chance I will lose my mind. It raises that important question. What's the real cost of trying to do it all, especially with the societal pressure to be the perfect parent, spouse, everything? And when is it okay to say, I need help?
It's a huge cultural pressure, especially on women, isn't it? To just handle everything.
Definitely.
And the narrative gives us this vivid snapshot of her daily grind. Packing diapers, juice boxes, carrot sticks, sunscreen, then picking up the boys, hitting the park. It's relentless, exhausting, just hearing it. And Tom's initial suggestion, well, meeting, maybe, of a hot bath. Lynette insists it'll take more than a hot bath to recharge. It just underscores the depth of her exhaustion. She needs real change, not a temporary fix. It's like offering a Band-Aid for a broken leg.
Exactly, a perfect metaphor. And that profound need leads to Lynette's very unconventional, but very Lynette solution. Hiring a full-time nanny.
Not just any nanny.
No, she wants an A-list nanny, the best. And her strategy? Aggressive. She plans to poach one from her rich friends.
Poach, yeah. That term usually means unfairly taking something, like an employee from a competitor. Here it's used playfully for stealing a friend's nanny.
Right, and she justifies it with her old corporate logic. At my old job, we didn't wait for good people. We raided other companies. It's no different with hiring a nanny.
It's so revealing about her. Pragmatic, results-oriented, applying business strategy to domestic life. It's funny, but also shows her sheer determination. That corporate mindset applied to personal crisis.
It immediately brings up the ethics, right? Nanny poaching. Lynette acknowledges it's so unseemly, but then her pragmatic side kicks in. If I make a better offer, why shouldn't a qualified person reap the benefits?
Fair market for talent, even in childcare.
That seems to be her view. It's not malicious, it's results driven. And her approach is calculated. She targets Valley View Park, the gathering place for upscale nannies. She's determined not to go home alone. She has high standards looking for that special someone. It's meticulous, born of desperation.
And it works. She finds her target, Claire, approaches her smoothly, compliments her work with the kids, builds rapport. Then Claire reveals her current boss, Alexis, is a nightmare, making her return worn underwear. That detail just immediately paints Alexis as awful.
Makes Lynette's move seem almost like a rescue mission.
Right. Lynette sees her chance, makes the offer. 20% more than she's paying, plus overtime.
It's compelling, especially for someone clearly undervalued and mistreated. Claire hesitates initially, says this isn't right, showing some ethical awareness, maybe loyalty. Or just politeness, maybe.
Could be. But Lynette's plea hits home, tapping into that desire for respect, fair pay. And the immediate shift, how fast can you pack, I got a nanny, just shows Lynette's relief, her desperation met.
Yeah.
Connecting this to the bigger picture, it touches on work-life balance, the value of caregiving labor often undervalued, and the lengths people go to find relief and support. It's a practical, if maybe ruthless, solution to her crisis. Reflects a modern struggle.
Okay, let's move to Brie Vandekamp. Her story dives into that complex, painful world of parental morality, betrayal. Her main conflict is her son Andrew's apparent lack of remorse after putting a woman in a coma in a hit and run. That sets the moral stakes incredibly high for her.
Yeah, and it brings up that universal agonizing question for parents. What do you do with a child who seems unfeeling, especially after something so severe? And how do parents differ on discipline when the stakes feel this high, when it's about the child's core character? The narrative says Andrew is happy as a clam, despite it all.
Yeah.
That idiom means really happy. But here it's used ironically because he absolutely shouldn't be happy.
Right. Brie believes he has not shown an ounce of remorse. Her instinct. Make him quit the swim team, the one thing in his life that he's passionate about, to teach him consequences.
But Rex, her ex.
Rex has a totally different take. He argues Andrew's just keeping up a facade, pretending indifference, and quitting the team costs him a scholarship Andrew would never going to forgive us. It's that classic clash, accountability now versus future opportunities and keeping the peace.
And it boils over at the swim meet. Andrew wins, which kind of validates Rex's point about his talent, making things even more tense between them. Their argument gets raw. You don't love him as much as I do, Brie says. Rex's retort is brutal. He hung out in your womb back in the 80s. Ouch. It's about who understands him, loves him more.
Deeply personal attacks. Their core conflict is about what love and consequences even mean. Brie thinks love means forcing morality, whatever the cost to his happiness or future. Rex prioritizes the future, maybe a softer approach. It raises that tough question. How much do you sacrifice of a child's present for their future moral compass? No easy answers.
And Brie gets more desperate as Andrew stays seemingly remorseless.
Indeed. Her methods become, well, ethically dicey. She finds Andrew strung out, that informal term for being disoriented, maybe on drugs and suspects marijuana. She wants a urine test.
And Rex.
Rex is incredibly casual. We've all done it. Tries to normalize it. Refuses to cooperate. Says he's not going to screw up Andrew's future because he sparked a doobie.
Sparked a doobie. It's very dated slang for smoking marijuana, isn't it?
Very much so, yeah. And it just highlights the total breakdown in their co-parenting. They're undermining each other constantly. Rex declares, I won't let you push me around anymore, asserting his independence from her. Then he smashes a vase, a very clear, violent symbol of their broken past, the resentment. This escalating conflict pushes Brie to her most extreme act.
Which brings us to the ultimate act of betrayal, as many would see it. Brie's desperate attempt to save Andrew. She plants marijuana in his locker. Then anonymously calls the coach, gets him suspended.
It's shocking.
And her justification is chillingly pragmatic. Sometimes a little betrayal is good for the soul.
Wow. This is where the narrative really forces you into that gray area. Is this justifiable tough love? Or is it manipulation that could just destroy their relationship, breed resentment?
Andrew's reaction is predictable. I was set up. I was holding it for a friend. Total denial.
Right. And Brie's frustration that he can't even come up with a decent enough lie just speaks volumes about her exasperation. But what are the long-term consequences? Will he ever forgive her? Will this push him further away, fuel more rebellion? Or could it, somehow, be the wake-up call Brie wants? The narrative leaves us hanging there, exploring that dangerous line between tough love and damaging manipulation. It could easily backfire.
Okay, let's turn to Susan Mayer. Her storyline starts simply, with her daughter Julie getting letters, but it quickly spirals into something much darker, mysterious, and ultimately really tragic.
Yeah, the initial tone around Zach Young is interesting. Julie gets letters from him. He's in a mental institution. Susan's immediate reaction is discomfort, judgment. Isn't that weird, him writing you? That letter is one notch above prison mail.
One notch above prison mail. That's a great informal phrase meaning barely acceptable, very low quality. It really shows her suspicion, that common stigma around mental institutions, viewing people struggling with fear.
Exactly. But Julie's response is pure compassion. Zach's not crazy, he's just upset over his mom, and his dad doesn't even seem to care, he just needs a friend. It forces us to ask, how do we treat people struggling with mental health, especially when they're seen as different? Julie cuts through the judgment, sees his vulnerability, his need for connection.
But things escalate fast, it gets alarming quickly.
Yes. Dr. Sisher tells Paul Young that Zach is missing from Silvercrest, probably during a shift change. And then the police arrive, Detectives Beckerman and Burnett. And they're interested in records of who bought a specific type of chest 10 years ago.
10 years ago, okay.
So the narrative pivots sharply. Mental health concern becomes a missing person case with potential criminal implications. And then the chilling discovery, a chest pulled out of Rockwater Lake. It looks like it's been through hell.
Yeah.
That idiom meaning severely damaged, abused, like it's seen horror. And inside, a chopped up adult female body. The connection between missing Zach, the decade-old chest purchase, the gruesome discovery, it weaves this incredibly disturbing thread, suggests a long-buried secret is about to explode.
And the revelation from Zach himself, fragmented as it is, it confirms the worst, unveils the truth behind the young family's secrets and Zach's fragile state.
It does. He remembers being really young, like 4, hearing his parents yelling his name and hers, Dana, seeing them cleaning up blood, his mom whispering, "It's not my fault." The trauma of this repressed memory slowly surfacing, it's palpable.
God, that's awful.
And his ultimate agonizing confession to Julie. I killed my baby sister, and they buried her to protect me. It explains everything, his mental state, his need for a friend, the immense weight of this secret haunting him, his family, for years.
So what does it all mean?
It's a chilling look at how family secrets, especially involving violence, just continue to haunt and shape lives decades later. That idea of protection led to this cover-up, but ultimately caused deeper psychological damage to Zach, massive family dysfunction. The lengths they went to burying a body, burying the truth, highlights that dark side where perceived necessity leads to horrific choices with lifelong fallout.
After all that intense personal drama, all those unsettling revelations, let's bring it back to the fashion show, the central stage where all these storylines collide, a public forum for private lives.
It's a brilliant narrative device, isn't it? A charity event meant for good becomes this microcosm of private feuds, personal drama, fueled by vanity, hidden agendas, resentments. The narrative gives us classic moments. Carlos backing out last-minute work emergency, Tom Scavo stepping in with his dorky charm, and Edie Britt, of course, making her old lady dress audience-friendly by, well, not wearing underwear.
Oh, Edie.
And demanding to change the lineup so Susan goes last because nothing is going to top this. Pure Edie, always seeking the spotlight, that self-centered archetype.
And we get those descriptions of the dresses, Bree in pink, Lynette devastatingly sexy in Halston, Susan radiant in white silk chiffon.
Right.
Glamorous backdrop.
Only to be completely shattered by the raw public eruption of conflict, that classic tension, appearance versus reality.
Yeah.
The climax is when Helen Rowland arrives. Her anger first hits Susan by mistake, then zeroes in on Gabrielle. That public accusation, "Keep your hands off my son."
Right in front of everyone.
The tension, the discomfort of secrets spilling out publicly, it's palpable. And the irony. A charity event ends in this uncharitable confrontation. The fashion show, meant to unite the community, ends up highlighting all the conflicts, betrayals, hidden truths simmering just beneath that perfect suburban surface. Shows how quickly civility crumbles when secrets are exposed. Just like real life sometimes.
What an incredible deep dive into these complex lives, revealing layer after layer of, well, human experience. We've seen how human nature in these stories is capable of both great acts of charity and the most underhanded forms of betrayal. It really reinforces that idea from the source material, that life is a constant battle that rages within all of us between the better angels of our nature and the temptation of our inner demons. Those metaphors for our conflicting impulses, they're so universal.
Absolutely. And as these narratives wrap up, they offer this poignant thought. Sometimes the only way to ward off the darkness is to shine the light of compassion.
Shine the light of compassion.
Yeah, the idea that understanding, empathy, kindness Maybe there are best defenses against our more destructive sides. Which brings us to a final question, maybe for you to think about. In a world where personal desires and hidden secrets often collide, causing chaos, heartache, how do we choose to balance our own needs with the profound impact our actions have on others? And what kind of legacy do our great ideas, whether they start out self-serving or altruistic, what legacy do they truly leave behind?
Powerful questions to ponder. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the intricate lives and surprising secrets of these really captivating characters from Desperate Housewives. We hope you'll reflect on their choices, what they reveal about, well, all of us, maybe even noticing some of those everyday English idioms and cultural bits woven in. Until next time.